And if the report had said that Israel's choice to punish Hamas by destroying the infrastructure, by destroying buildings, is illegal under international law, people would have said, that's interesting, and Israel deserves a little slap on the wrist. It destroyed some buildings, and it destroyed some food. But nobody would have taken the report seriously. They would have maybe taken it seriously in the sense that it deserves some minor condemnation. But once it moved to the killing of civilians, everything else became muted by the big bang of killing civilians. And so it lost an opportunity to criticize Israel for doing things that may very well have been improper. That is, destroying the chicken farms and destroying the sewage facilities. And that's, but the report wanted a big bang. And the big bang doesn't come from chicken farms and sewage or buildings. It comes from killing civilians. I think we have to fully time for one more question.
Just follow up quickly. I think even during World War II, if you take the United States, there are certain things that they did during World War II that you can call punishment. Okay?
Oh, well, we did during World War II. It wasn't even close.
Okay, but it's not even close. But the fact is, I just want to come back to your final point is, what do we do? Because if the objective is to stop the rocket launches, and you can't do that directly, then punishment seems to me like a valid policy.
So it may be, and if so, it's a policy that may violate international law, and Israel may then announce, look, and that's what they basically did in this case. They basically said, look, if international law says we can't destroy Hamas buildings, we're going to violate international law. Remember, Israel has no moral obligation to follow international law. International law is not democratic. International law comes from professors. A country has an obligation to follow international law only if it has signed the treaty, or if the international law is moral. And Israel would have the perfect right to say, we can't fight this war without blowing up Hamas buildings, without going after the infrastructure, without going after homes that terrorists live in. We know we're violating what you believe is international law. We don't accept that as international law that governs us. Israel could do that. But nobody could say the only way to fight war is by deliberately targeting civilians. Israel can't do that. It wouldn't do that. Its population wouldn't tolerate it doing it. And its population doesn't believe it was done. That's why the report's a failure.
All right, last question.
Yeah, Professor Dershowitz, I want to first thank you for coming today and for your time. I have, first of all, a point that I'm going to direct to you and to the audience in terms of this whole chicken coop issue. The report actually says that the chicken coop provided about 10% of Gaza Strip's egg production. The El Bauer flour mill was the only last operating flour mill before that was attacked. Now,
So I agree with
I think
you.
we have to realize that we're all very blessed. You know, I haven't ever had to worry about what I'm going to eat tomorrow. I pay $45,000 a year to go to this law school. I know I'm very blessed, and I think for me, personally, I'm upset that we are dismissing this issue. Killing through starvation is still killing.
Nobody's died. Nobody has died.
Is this issue with jokes?
Nobody has starved. Nobody has starved. Let's be very clear about that. What Sippy Livni said is we are putting Hamas, we are putting the citizens of Gaza on a diet. Now, I didn't think that was a particularly nice thing to say, but nobody is starving. There is no humanitarian crisis in Gaza. The situation in Gaza is better than almost any place in Africa. The situation in Gaza is better than most places in Jerusalem. It is a totally phony argument that there is a humanitarian crisis in Gaza. Israel is the only country in modern history to have allowed in humanitarian aid during a war. Even the report says that. The report says it was no humanitarian crisis. Nobody was starving. Nobody had any risk of dying. The death rate is lower in Gaza than it is in parts of Jordan, than it is in many other parts of the Middle East. It is a totally phony propaganda argument.
Okay, that's your opinion.
No, it's not my opinion, it's a fact.
I understand. I think one final point in that I'd like to recall to your attention to an article that you have written called Ad Hominem Attacks Against Israel.
Right. And
also your previous statement that you said you will not respond to ad hominem attacks. Why then are you using terms such as blood libel in reference to Professor Goldstone, and that you also made ad hominem attacks against Israel?
Let me respond. I actually wrote it. Let me respond.
Why ad hominem?
So, first of all, I think we've had a substantive debate here today, and I wish Professor Goldstone or Judge Goldstone had been part of the debate. I started the debate for 45 minutes going over in detail everything he wrote in the report. I wrote an article called Ad hominem, and what I wrote, my thesis was this: I don't like ad hominem criticisms, and I don't like ad hominem defenses. And what I was hearing of the Goldstone report was completely ad hominem defenses. People were saying, I don't know what's in the report. It doesn't sound right to me. I have no idea what's in the report, but Goldstone wrote it, so it must be right. That is an argument ad hominem. That is an argument that says, because Goldstone was part of it, the idea must be right. It is appropriate to respond to that by criticizing the person who wrote the report. That's what I did. He put his credibility into the report. If he had anonymously distributed this report, if it had been written without anybody named Goldstone on it, nobody would have criticized Goldstone. You'd look only at what was in the report. Ad hominem invites ad hominem. Now, but you have to admit, nobody in this room can deny that of the first 45 minutes I spoke, 42 minutes of the first 45 minutes were substantive, specific critiques of the methodology, of the arguments, of the failure to make claims about what Israel should have done. You may want to have heard ad hominem. If Goldstone were here, I'm sure we would have had an exchange of interesting views, but unfortunately you've been deprived of the opportunity to hear a response to specific, focused arguments that detail pages and lines in the testimony. Every argument that's been made to me, I've responded to, and I think Judge Goldstone owes you a response to these specific substantive charges that have been made.
We have to clear the room as soon as possible for the next event. Please bring any garbage with you. And Aaron Bessie wants me. Thank you.
Everyone's invited down to the cafeteria.